In this video, I use shortcut keys to make modeling more efficient. Many common commands already have shortcut keys like M for move and L for line, A for arc, P for push-pull, spacebar for select. Shortcut keys are set up under Shortcuts, under System Preferences. To assign a key, start typing in the menu designation in the filter box, for instance, hide. Select Edit Hide, type in the letter you want. Let's look at remodeling this light fixture. You can see it has lots of polygons, especially down here in the smaller radii. We want to simplify this or remodel it in Sketchup. Go to a top view, draw a rectangle. I'm going to pull that down. I'm just creating a volume that I can use for reference in 2 seconds here. I'm going to spin around so we're oriented to the green direction. Select the section tool. Line it up on the side of the box. And zoom in, and there's a center dot in this lamp. So I'll use that. Click there, and it cuts a section through the lamp. Right-click on the section plane. Create a group from that slice. And we'll turn off section plane, and we'll turn off the section cut effect, and you can see the group that's been left. I'm going to move that to the side. We'll move it 36 inches, and I can start working from there now. Let's start with the little dangly piece. L, and I'm going to trace from the endpoints of the CAD source file. A, draw an arc. Let's make a four-sided, 4S, four-sided arc, endpoint to endpoint, and I use the CAD geometry as my points to snap to. Draw another line. There is half of the profile. Make a copy of that with the move tool. Move copy. Copy it to the side, and then scale it from the side grip. Move it past itself to -1 or type -1. That's a mirror image. Then M, we'll move it back. Midpoint to midpoint. L, trace over one of the edges. There's our profile. Let's start our way up the lamp. So we're still in the line command. So we'll do a line from there. Now notice that doesn't go in the green in the CAD, that it's actually a stair step. So that's okay. We'll trace from endpoint to endpoint. And now that'll be an arc. So A, and let's make that a 4-segment arc as well. On these dividers, 4 is going to be a lot of segments, so I'll type 3S. That simplifies it down even further. Zoom back out a little, start another arc. Now this one's going to need a couple arcs in it, so we'll start maybe to there. And I want this to be 4 segments. Draw it to there. Then L will draw a simple line from there back to that point. Then A, we'll do another 3-segment arc. Zoom out. Do a 4-segment arc. Endpoint to endpoint, type 4S. There's a 4-segment arc. Zoom in. Do a 3-segment arc. Now I can't remember where I was, so we'll select. So there's the endpoint where I left off, so that's where we'll spring from. So A, and I'll start from there. And that's a 4 segment, so we'll type 3S, 3 segment arc. Click to place it. That'll be a 4 segment arc, endpoint to endpoint, 4S. Let's make a 3 segment. This one's a full half circle, so we'll leave it as 4 segments. Then L to finish out with straight segments. We've traced over the profile. Let's come back to the starting point. It fills in the surface. So we now have the profiles. Oh, we need a profile here. So let's draw a line. And then A for arc. And this time 4 is going to be a little rough. 4 might work. So we'll leave it as 4. Line, L. There's our profiles. Now draw a circle. We want to be coming up from the center or the midpoint of the anchorage. Come down in the blue. And we'll just click. Doesn't matter how big a circle it is. We'll just click and place it. Now a circle normally is 24 segments, but I'm going to change that to 12 to start with, and we'll see how things look. Select our profile first, our path. Zoom in, and we'll do follow me, or F for follow me. Pick the profile, and it spins it around. And if we look at all the hidden geometry, there's how much it made. Now that's far too much geometry for a little piece like that, see, compared to the lamp. So we're going to undo that, come out, select the circle, and let's make that an 8 segment circle. Now select the circle, come in here, F for follow me, click on it. That's a lot better, far fewer polygons. Right click and reverse that face, and then right click on the same face and orient the other faces. So there's a good start. We'll triple click on that and then double click on the face, and we'll make a group of that. So that little piece is taken care of. Now let's make the lamp. Select the circle, F for follow me, and select the face. Okay, so 8's not going to work well at all for that. So let's back up, undo, select the circle. Let's change that to 12 segments, 12 sides. Select the circle, follow me, or F, pick on it. Now 12 is even a little bit rough for what we want. So let's undo, spacebar to select the circle, and I'm going to make it 18 segments. And here we're just flavoring to suit. We're the cook, we can make it what we want. So select the circle, follow me, F. That's looking better. If I turn off the hidden geometry, that looks real good. Compared to the other lamp, they look the same, but far, far fewer polygons. Come in here, and we can select this interior surface and delete it. Now all our faces are facing the wrong way, so we can right click and reverse those faces, then right click again and orient all the faces. That turns the faces facing outwards, which is what we want. So there's our lamp. It's looking real good. This line, we want that to blend in with this surface. So we can just orient. I'm going to turn on X-ray mode so we can orbit and get them all in a line. And then with spacebar, I'll select them. And under Entity Info, I'll just soften and smooth them. And click outside, T to turn transparency back off. And now it treats that as a single globe, because that was a compound curve, and we simplified it with the line. Great. Now let's do the rails, or the hanging rods. We'll zoom back out, and let's find one of the hanging rods in the source file. and it looks like it's a circle. So let's just test it and see. Draw a circle, C, zoom in here. I'm going to touch an endpoint and see if we can find the center. There it is, center in the component. So just click, pull away, and click again. Spacebar and select it, and let's look at it. We don't need 24 segments for a tiny little rod like this. So let's make that 4. 4, when you smooth the edges, looks okay. Let's try 5. 5 might be better. And then P to push-pull it. I'm zooming out. Use the geometry for the length of it. If I turn on transparency, you can see I can select the end circle from the push-pull extrusion, and that's what we're going to offset. So O, and we'll offset it. I'm going to go to the outside so that it makes it a little bit bigger, because this is such a tiny object. And then P to push-pull that. Turn off transparency so you can see it. So we've just push-pulled that as an object, or as a profile. Then we'll offset this one back down, and then P to push-pull it. It knows it's back there, even though we can't see it. Then we'll push-pull it up to here. Spacebar and triple click to select everything on the rod and move it back over the one we're making. So we'll move it in the red, 36 inches. Now we'll get away from the CAD source and look at what we're left with. So there's our rod. Let's go ahead and make that a component. So we'll right click, make component. We'll just call it rod. And we're going to change set the component axis. We want the component axis to be from the center of it. So find the center of the circle. Click there. And we want to make the blue go along the length of the rod. So I'm going to select red direction and green direction as 2 endpoints of that circle, and that aligns the blue axis. Hit create. No. Let's name it rod 2. Maybe the other one was named rod. So we'll create it. And there's our blue axis, or the length of our rod. So the bounding box follows the length of the rod. Now let's go ahead. Whoops. There's the base. We never made that into an object. So let's select the path, spacebar, select the path, and let's turn that back to 6 segments. And then follow me. So we'll select it. F for follow me. There's our base. Good. Forgot about that. That's a little rough. Let's select that, make it 8. Select it. F for follow me. And then right click, reverse the faces, right click and orient the faces. There's our base. That's good. Let's go ahead and array. So I'm going to spacebar and select our rod. The rotate tool. Find the center. We'll use the center of the circle. It doesn't matter. Click. And it doesn't matter where we go. We're just going to hit Option or Control to make a copy. So we're spinning it around. Click and type 360. So it's back on top of itself, and then we want 6 of them. So 6 divided by, and there's our 6 rods around the lamp. Now remember, the 360 copy copied one on top of itself, so we'll just hit delete to get rid of the extra. So there's all our rods going around the lamp. Come in, double click on that, and I want to, from the CAD geometry, from the section, it bulges there a little bit. So let's copy this. Turn on hidden geometry. I'm going to make a copy of this to the midpoint there. Then I'm going to scale that, S. And by holding down Option or Control, it'll scale it by the center of that. So we can flare that nut out just a little. Turn off the hidden geometry, and there's our flared nut to match the source a little bit better. The last thing we need is this fancy shape here. So we can just trace over it again. So A for arc. Let's just do a rough arc all the way along it. That's fine. And let's make it 8 segments. Click it. Another arc. Let's make this one 4 segments. 4S. And 4 segments again. And now we're starting to get really fussy. Be careful, there's a lot of geometry that we'll be creating. So just keep your arc segments as low poly as possible. L, I'm going to draw my lines in, my straight segments, endpoint to endpoint. And the last endpoint to endpoint should heal into a surface, and it does. And we'll push-pull this into a shape. And since that was the midline, let's be careful of that. We'll push-pull it about the same amount the other way. Triple click, spacebar, triple click on that, make a group of it. Now we're going to cut that, Control X or Command X, cut it to the clipboard, double click in our rod, and then we'll paste in place. Edit, paste in place, puts it back in same relative location to the world coordinates, but puts it inside of that component. So there's our new lamp. We can zoom out, select everything. We don't need the circle. And we didn't want the section cut, but since it was not in the selection window with this rectangle, didn't get selected, so let's make a component of that. Make a component, and this will be new lamp. And we'll set the component axes to be the center of the base. Now this isn't a circle because of the follow me, so we can't find it. Type L, I'll draw a line, and I'll hover over that circle, find the center, come up in the blue, hold Shift, and draw it to that surface. Now everything's still selected, so let's make a component again, new lamp, set the component axis, find that endpoint, red and green, and create it. There's our lamp. Move that over next to this one so we can see it in comparison. We've accomplished the same thing in this one. Instead of 16,000 faces, 35,000 edges, our new lamp is 1,000 faces, 2,300 edges. Now let's play with some coloring on it. Take the paint bucket and sample the dark color. So zoom in and hold down Alt or Command. Samples the color, and we'll paint it on all the places in our new lamp that should be dark colored. So spacebar to edit it, and then paint bucket. Just click around. Oh, we should have made a group of that. Triple click and make a group of the base. Don't have to, but there you have it. Paint all the rods, and we'll paint the rims. So I'm going to orbit and start looking between the source file and ours. I'm looking for the dark bands. So that one, and yeah, the base, this rim and that base. So there we go, and then the base. Now I'm going to paint all as well. We'll sample, paint off the lamp, paint it in there. Sample the other paint off the glass, and paint it in here. Come back out, and we can see there's our new lamp using the materials from the old lamp. Now, they happen to have selected a texture that worked real well with all their tiny little triangles. And it's not looking good on ours. We can try editing this texture, but I'm going to make a copy of the texture so we have a new texture on ours so we can keep comparing it against the original. Select it. We want to duplicate it. So we'll duplicate the texture in here, and we'll just leave it as copy. And this is the copy, so that's what we want to put. Sorry about that. I'm going to double click, and we want to put that on our lamp. So we'll just paint everything. Now when we change our version, it won't change the original. Double click to edit it. We'll change, first of all, try the size. We'll make the size maybe 4 inches. So it does decrease the size of it, but it's not going to have the same effect as they achieved with the little triangles, or little polygons. So we can keep playing with this, or we can just go to the web and find a texture. So I went to the web, and I found a couple of glass textures, so let's look at a couple. Here's one. If we say open, puts it in as little squares, similar to what that is, but they're all different colors. We could try colorizing them and see if they get close to the color of the other. So that's one way to play with it and get close. I could spend more time, but let's look at another one. So load a different texture in. Well, that would be interesting. That would turn it into a Tiffany lamp. Change the size of that. So you could do something like that, but that's not like the original. We want to just reproduce the original. Let's see here. Okay, this one looked like it might work because it has a bright spot and small rectangles. Change the size of it. Let's try 2. So that's looking real good. Even though we have fewer polygons, if I turn on hidden geometry here, it creates the idea of little rectangles within it, or the impression of that. So we could colorize that and see if we can get close to what there was before. So really the thing to do would be to Photoshop that glass texture. Photoshop that glass texture to match. So we'll hit close. And now we're very close to that, especially if we Photoshop that texture. And we've recreated it with far fewer polygons. So that's another method of remodeling in SketchUp.